What's happening, everybody? It is currently Saturday morning at 5:39 on August the 5th. Current temperature outside 58 degrees, which it got down nice and cool last night, but it's still 67 degrees here in the shop. So I figured it's a good time to address the elephant in the room, which is going to be our 1971 El Camino SS here. We have to get that 850 Ultra XP off of here and get the tuning issues squared away. I actually took it to the gas station last night and put some more of that 93 Ultra Shell gas in there and mixed the rest of my racing fuel up that I had. I had probably about 3 gallons of 110. So I mixed it up, and that way when we get this all set and done, we can go ahead and take it for a test drive later on, earlier this morning, or after the neighbors all get up. I don't want to be that guy. But what we're going to do, we're going to get this ripped off of here. I'm going to end up changing the power valves out. I got some 6.5s, 7.5s, and some 5.5s. I think we're going to start with some 6.5s, and I'm going to go up 2 jet sizes, front and rear. I'm actually going to pull one spark plug and see what the plug looks like from actually driving it normally to the gas station. And I drove it out to Tony's shop last night and then back home, and just to, but it was running like shit. I mean, you go to tip in, and it had that lean miss and lean stumble to it. So today is the day I have to get this done. I want to get it done and get it ready to rock and roll. We're going to be going to the Bay Cities Rollers race. When is that? I think it's in September, first or second week of September. Our big family camping trip's coming up here the next weekend. So I got a lot of stuff to get done in this week. So as you guys can see though, I did get the cabinet moved and most of this wall all cleaned out. We moved the cabinet back here, and me and the missus, we went through and reorganized everything over here and cleaned house. So we have, I'm starting to get a little bit more organized in here, which is good. But it's going to make a lot more room out here in the shop, but I still got some stuff I got to pick up, but neither here nor there. That can wait. We're going to get working on this. But I'm going to get this carburetor pulled off of here and make some room on the desk here so we can work. And we'll bring you guys right back. All right, well, we got the carburetor off, sitting on the desk, getting ready for action there. We pulled number 1 spark plug out, and timing mark looks good. It's right at the bend, but the strap at the top, it looks a little lean yet. But on the cadmium, which would be the top of the plug, come on, focus there. She don't want to focus. I mean, we still got a little bit of cocoa brown in the porcelain, but even cruising around, that looks like it's a little lean. So, I mean, that's no hard pulls or anything on that. So, like I said, when we were at the track at Lapeer last year for the last race that the El Camino was in at Lapeer Dragway for test and tune, the plug was completely like a light gray, even on the cadmium, and the porcelain was still cocoa brown, but we had some drive time on that now. But I do believe it needs to go up at least 2 jet sizes. I don't remember what jetting is in that carburetor, but we're getting ready to find out. And we're going to start off with the 6.5 power valve front and rear. I was going to put the block off plate in there for the rear, but I want to street drive it. So we're just going to run I got two 6.5, so we're going to put them in front and rear. And I want to make sure my transfer slots were good, because when I changed the plugs and all that, I actually adjusted my idle by the idle screw right there. Well, this carburetor's got the controlled vacuum leak, and you guys can see down in there, there's a little screw down in there, right there, that you can set idle, so I can square up my transfer slots to be perfect, and then adjust my idle right here. That's one good thing I like about this 850 Ultra XP. But man, it's just about light out. I want to open this door and get some air flowing through here, but I know if I do, and we're getting there, but not quite. The bugs will get in here. The bugs love light, and I don't want a shit ton of bugs in here. So let me get all my tools together to get this ripped down, and we'll get you guys situated on the tripod, and we'll bring you back and we'll rip this thing down, see what jetting is in it, and we'll start getting her tuned up, ready to go. We got our fuel line off on this side, our main fuel line. We got our 5/16 on 1/4-inch drive ratchet ready to go to get the bowls pulled off. We ended up going with the Summit brand power valves because they're cheaper. I think these were like $4 a piece, versus if you went with a Holley or Quick Fuel, 4-window high flow power valves were anywhere from $9 to $12 a piece. And Summit brand is basically overstock of Holley or Quick Fuel. You know, they buy their stock, overstock, and they just relabel them as Summit brand. So still the same thing, but cheaper. Cheap as me, because I'm poor. I can't afford this stuff. It's getting harder and harder to work on, you know, maintaining race cars, building race cars with inflation, which I'm sure everybody out there already knows all that. I ain't got to tell you guys nothing on all that. It ain't just Michigan that's high on inflation and prices, but it's getting to be ridiculous. It's getting harder and harder to keep this hobby up on a budget. We're gonna get this ripped down now, and I'm gonna put you guys on the tripod and get you focused in here, and we're gonna see what jetting's in there and get these power valves changed out. All right, I think we got everything that we need to get started here and get this carburetor whipped into shape. I got our 5/16 on a 1/4-inch drive. We're gonna go through and crack all of our bolts loose here. And another good thing about the Holley Ultra XP is that your float bowl is wider than your standard HPs and your standard Holleys. So you got more fuel capacity, along with your controlled air, idle air circuit here, and your drain plug. And it's got rubber O-rings for your inlet tubes here, versus the old school has the paper, or the paper gasket that usually leaked. You know, after time and time, after, you know, if you mess around with carburetors like I do, they can't leave nothing alone, then you learn little tricks after a while. But yeah, I like the drain plug actually, because, you know, the old school, you'd have to break one of your bottom bolts loose and get your paint cap or a cut-off pop bottle or whatever and drain it that way. This is a good feature to have too, the drain plug. For like me, you know, that can't leave nothing alone when it comes to a carburetor. But we'll see what, I do believe we got the 79s according to my jet kit. Whoop, shit. Oh, don't rip the gasket. Get that off of there. Ew, that gasket don't look very good. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but look at the gasket's got some like it's deteriorating a little bit. I gotta see if I'll have another one of them in my stash. We're definitely gonna have to give this carburetor a blow job to make sure none of that gasket material got into any of the orifices or jets or anything like that. What size jets do we have in here? I think they're the 79s according to the jet kit, but another good investment to do is a jet tool kit. That way you're not marring up these brass jets, stripping them out, using a screwdriver. I mean, I've used screwdrivers in the past, they work, but sometimes you're in a pinch and you have to get too small of a screwdriver, you'll nick the edges off of the brass jetting here, and it'll find its way into the circuitry. So another good tool to have if you're like me and can't leave nothing alone. Which, I mean, I would have left this alone. I wanted to go up a couple jet sizes because I knew it was lean at the track, like I said last year at Holley or Lapeer when we had it there. Yeah, these are 79, so I was correct according to my jet kit. I was missing 4 of the 79, so they are the 79s. This come off of there. We're gonna have to pry it off. We're gonna have to pry it off, of course. Let me get it without ripping this gasket. Yes. And we have the 4.5 in there, which we experimented with a 3.5 power valve too when we were at US 131, and it helped, you know. And with the El Camino, when it had that 5500 converter in it, you could get away with that because it flashed so fast and the converter was so loose that the 3.5 would work. But obviously I went back to the 4.5, which I didn't remember. But now that we have that tighter converter in it, you know, it's putting more load on the engine and it's requiring more fuel sooner. So I don't know if I should just go big or go home and put that 7.5 in there, or stick to my plan and go up 2 jet sizes, go to 81s or 82s on the jetting, and then the 6. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm not gonna overthink this. So we're gonna crack that loose. Take our 4.5 out of there. Let me give this a little bit of a blowout here. And another nice feature on these Ultra XPs, they have the billet metering blocks. And you can see the power valve restrictors right there. They're quite huge. They got some big restrictors in there. And also on your main wall, you got all these interchangeable restrictors here that you could change, and your main, for your squirters up there. So there's a lot of adjustability. I have never ever got into none of this, so I am not gonna lie, that would be something new for me. I have experimented with drilling out the old power valves that were not interchangeable, like on the old school Holleys that, as a matter of fact, I got one sitting right here. Like on the old school Holleys here, they're not interchangeable. You know, so back in the day, I would drill them out to get a little bit more fuel when the power valve opened. But there's actually a math equation out there. You would have to have a pin gauge set that you would stick a pin gauge in here and then take your digital micrometer and mic that up, and you can do some math on there, and that would tell you what these 2 restrictors would equal out to jetting. Like when your power valve opens, say it would be like adding another 68 jet or 74 jet to the main, you know, your main circuit. So I don't have a pin gauge set. I'd like to see what size them are actually, but maybe one of these days I'll be able to afford and get me a nice pin gauge set for doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can actually see I don't know if you can see in there. See that little piece of blue? That's a piece of the gasket that's been floating around in there. So we're definitely going to have to blow everything out and clean this whole thing up. And, well, that's, let's take a peek and see where our transfer slots are at. Let me see if I can get the light and show you guys here. You see your transfer slots? Barely anything showing. There's little pieces of crap there too. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you guys on camera here, but we're going to reset that stuff also. But yeah, we got to definitely give this carburetor a good cleaning out. So I'm going to shut the camera out because it'll probably be loud with me blowing everything out. I'm going to take the rear bowl off, which you guys just seen me do all the front. So I'm going to do the same to there. There's no sense of video and all that, making this video longer. But I'll get everything off of here, get everything apart. We'll bring you back, let you know what the changes are. And then I'll show you how to set your transfer slots, what they look like squared up. And then we'll get this thing put back together. All right, we got the rear float bowl off of the XP carb here. And there's a couple more features that I'd like to go over with you guys on the XP model versus the HP and the 4150 Brawler series or any 4150 Holley series. The difference between the XP models and the other models. And one of them is going to be the rear jet extensions. As you guys can see here, we got the rear jet extension out of our Holley 850 Ultra XP. And you can see the jet sticking out the bottom of it there. Well, all this is a hollow tube. And you flip it upside down, and your jet just comes out. Well, you see the flat part on the bottom of your jet, on the threads there. Well, there's a recess on the bottom of this tube, and that actually holds your tube to your metering block. And as you guys can see here, I have a jet extension out of a standard HP model, just for educational purposes only, I guess you could say. But you can see the jet extension screws into the metering block, and then your jet screws into the end of the jet extension. Versus on the XP model, you have a hollow tube, and your jet holds the hollow tube in place. Well, the fuel capacity from this hole to the hole there is a lot more, as you guys can see. Because the hole on here it's got the same size hole on that jet extension, so all that fuel's got to travel through that hole all the way into your metering block. Versus on the tube style here, it has fuel capacity up to the jet. Yeah, the hole at the jet's going to be the same as this one, but the fuel capacity for where it gets to the jet is a lot more. And I was telling you how much deeper the Ultra XP float bowls are. Well, here's a prime example. Look how much more deeper that sits in to the float bowl and how much more fuel that capacity that the Ultra XPs actually hold for fuel capacity. You know, to get away from the fuel running away on hard launches, the fuel will come up and run, and sometimes it'll come out of this vent tube. And out here, you'll see guys put spark plug boots, or they'll put a piece of rubber hose and then cut a little hole in the top to kind of, so you don't get fuel slosh that comes out of here on hard launches. Well, this is supposed to take care of that, help take care of that anyway. Whether it takes care of it 100% or not, I don't know. But another feature that this Ultra XP has, which I think some of the HP models have it also, but is progressive linkage. You can either run this 1-to-1 to where your primaries and secondaries open up at the same time. You blip the throttle, the secondary side opens up with the fronts, or you can just, you know, adjust accordingly. I think I got this one a half a turn slower, so the secondaries open up just a hair slower than what they would from the factory. And I have everything painted and marked so I could go back to the factory setting if wanted to be. So I just wanted to go over them features with you. we're going to finish getting this all tore apart, get our jets that we're going to put in there, and give this carburetor a good cleaning out, get it, everything put back together. And another thing here you guys can see too, you see the notches in the floats on the carbon filters, and the fronts don't have it. They're just a plastic float versus the carbon in the back that are notched. That's plastic. That's carbon. But we're going to get everything put, like I said, I'm going to finish tearing this apart. I just wanted to show you guys that. Get everything tore apart, cleaned up. I'll bring you guys back when we go to set the transfer slots. I'll show you what that looks like, what they're supposed to look like. And then we're going to get this thing put back on the car. And as you guys can see, it's finally light outside, but it's still early. And then we're going to take this thing for a test rip, and we'll bring that in this video also. All right, another quick thing here. I dug in my stash. I got a new set of them gaskets for the main body gaskets and the float bowl gaskets. So I got metering block and float bowl gaskets. I don't need the main body metering block gaskets, but you guys seen the deterioration on the float bowl, so I'm definitely going to use these up and change them, and we'll put these back into stock for when we do need them. But everything's going to go back together, and I talked myself into, I'm going to go with the 7.5s, just because it had a pretty bad lean stumble to it. So we already went, I thought I had 3.5s in there. So I figured, 3 sizes up would be a 6.5. So, I mean, because it was pretty bad, that lean stumble. So I talked myself into going 3 still, which would put us at the 7.5s. That's why I ordered them. So, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I got to tear it down one more time, and if it's too much, but it shouldn't be. Power valves only, a lot of people think that power valves open on idling, that'll make your eyes water. That's a total misconception of a power valve. Power valves only open on your main circuit with air going through your venturi. Your vacuum drops through your venturi, and that's when your meter or your power valve will open. Even though this only holds, I think 4.5 inches of vacuum at an idle, maybe 5.5 on a good day. You would think that power valve would be open at idle. Not the case. Not the case at all. It's not how a power valve works. They don't, the power valve is on the enrichment side, on your main enrichment side of the carburetor, not on your idle circuit. So, tech tip, you can put a 7.5, 8.5, 10.5 on, and if you only got 5.5 inches of vacuum, you'll still be fine at idle. All right, let me get this thing put back together. All right, well, as you guys can see here, we got the carburetor put back on. She's good to go. We ended up going with 82 jets in the front and rear, 7.5 power valves front and rear. I got my transfer slots set perfect, like mint, front and rear, to where I could put a 5 thousandths feeler gauge in between the blade and the body on front and rear. That way I know they're exactly the same. All my air fuel screws, air fuel mixture screws on the side of the carb are 1.5 turns out. As you guys can see here, one thing nice about electric fuel pump, I don't have to start the car to get the float bowls full, but we're half and half, which the XP model, that's what they recommend in the paperwork, so we're good there. But only downfall, we have to let my neighbors wake up, have their coffee, do whatever they're doing, get alive before we fire this up and set the idle through the air control, the idle air control screw there in the middle, which I showed you guys earlier in the video. So we'll have to fire it up and get the RPM set about 1100 is where I want it. But like I said, we'll have to wait until the neighbors wake up. I mean, that's one thing bad about living, I guess, in a subdivision. You could call it, we're still country setting, but I would like to be out in the country where I have no neighbors. That way if I wanted to fire up my car at 3, 4 in the morning, go out front and do a test hit, I could. But I don't. I live in like a country setting, but I guess a subdivision with elderly people. But they're all cool, don't get me wrong. My neighbors are all cool. They don't usually mess with me with loud music, race cars. But I'm gonna have respect for them and let them come alive before I fine tune this and get the idle set right, and then us taking it for a ride. So yeah, it's all ready to go. But just like movie magic, you know, the us firing up a couple hours from now happens for you guys right now. Well, we're up in a testing spot out here in the country. We're gonna try and do it from a little bit of a roll. It's still got a little hesitation. We left the stop sign, I got on it like from a dead stop, and it still stumbled a little bit, so I don't know what's going on. But we're gonna go up here and try it, get on a little bit of a roll and see if it's what happens. We're out here in Mexico, about 10, 15 miles out from the house. See what happens here. Figures I can see a car coming down there. Me and the missus just got back from our test drive. We had to drive like 15 miles out just to get away from traffic and cops. They got that hands-free driving sting going on, and there's cops everywhere this weekend. So we ended up cruising way out in the country, and we didn't get it on video. I took off from a stop sign, just punched it from a dead stop. It still had a little hiccup, but we did end up getting a little, we turned around that driveway, and from a 2-mile-an-hour hit, it hiccuped just very slightly and then pulled pretty good. But I ended up taking number 1 spark plug out to check it out. As you guys can see here, let me get her focused in here. Cocoa brown on the strap. The cadmium showing hints of that gray tinnish color that I was talking about. Timing mark is just after the bend. So, I mean, that's from driving around too. I mean, I did 2 hits on it, And we got out of there. Obviously, there was houses out that way, so I ended up getting out of the area and cruising back to the house. But for cruising, that plug should be black. I mean, you've seen it earlier in the video, how black the strap was, and even the porcelain was a little black. And that was with 79 jets. These are 82 jets. And the plug, the porcelain, it's got a good heat range. The strap's cocoa brown. Why ain't you focusing today? And we got that grayish tint going on in the cadmium on the plug, which is this flat part. Come on, you stupid thing. Top of the plug there, that flat part. But I think it could use more fuel. I think I should have ordered I might have to step up to an 8.5, even a 9.5 power valve. I can play with the squirters a little bit and that progressive linkage to try and get it out. I don't want to go any more on timing. I can't remember exactly what I have. I think it's 34 degrees I have in it, but the plug's showing a beautiful timing mark on it. We're safe. I mean, maybe a degree or two, but you don't want to go to where your timing mark's running off the strap onto that cadmium, the flat part of the plug. So I'm going to leave the timing there and just go ahead and see if I can. I'm probably going to order a couple more power valves, 8.5, a 9.5, and a 10.5, and take that progressive linkage and maybe bring it in a little slower. Try some stuff, but I'll bring you guys along for the ride once we do that, as I always do. This video is running pretty long. I really appreciate everybody for hanging in there for this video. We're super close on it. I feel the fueling's real close. We will get this thing worked out because we're going drag racing here very soon. But as usual, guys, I really appreciate everybody for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next video. All right. Bye-bye.